Welcome to the H.E.A.L, Help, Elevate, and Learn podcast. This podcast is a guide to healing your inner child and maturing your inner adult. This is the place where we slow down, look within, and begin the journey of restoring what was lost, silenced, or forgotten. Here, we believe that healing the inner child is not about reliving the past, it's about rewriting your future. Together, we'll uncover the wisdom, the strength, and the love you've always carried inside. So take a deep breath. You're safe, you're seen, and you're right where you need to be.
Hello, everybody. How you doing today? This is Sakoni Prince of SakoniPrince.com, where we make motivation personal, introducing you to yourself. And I'm super excited to be here today to share with you the H.E.A.L podcast. H.E.A.L is an acronym for Help, Elevate, and Learn. And it was based on my last book, which had a subtitle is A Guide to Healing Your Inner Child. I'm currently working on my sequel, and it's going to be released this year, first quarter, and I am so excited to share that with each and every one of you. But listen, in fact, before we get started, let's hear a word from our sponsor, none other than BetterHelp. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen and give you helpful, unbiased advice. First, you go to their site. You can use my link, betterhelp.com/SakoniPrinceHeal. You answer a few questions, and BetterHelp will match you to a professional who's had years of experience helping people with struggles just like yours. You can do it all from your phone or your computer, via a phone call, a video chat, or messaging. However you feel most comfortable, it is the easiest possible way to start talking to a therapist. You'll be matched to a therapist usually within 48 hours, so you can get started fast. Let BetterHelp connect you to a therapist who can support you, all from the comfort of your own home. Visit betterhelp.com/SakoniPrinceHeal or choose SakoniPrinceHeal during your sign up and enjoy a special discount on your first month. And again, we want to thank BetterHelp for being our sponsor of this amazing episode. Listen, for those of you who tuned in or those of you who may be watching a replay, our guest is not going to be able to make it today. She unfortunately had a family emergency that she had to attend to, and I completely understand that. So we're going to get her scheduled hopefully for next week, so we'll be able to share the valuable information that I know she's going to share with us as we go through those questions, those probing questions that's going to help us to understand the importance of healing our inner child, but also maturing our inner adult. Well, look, with this being my first podcast of 2026, I wanted to take a minute to reflect on a lot of stuff that happened in 2025. Since last I actually aired my podcast, I've had several major life changes. And the most notable one was the passing of my father, John Andrew Prince Jr. You know, I remember the same day that my father passed, a good friend of mine, Dr. Will Morton, posted a video. And the video said, it was by Steve Harvey, and he actually said, when a man's father dies, he's lost the only person who wanted him to do better than he did. And when I watched that video, it struck me because that's the thing my father would tell me. He would say, I always want my children to do better than I did. And that's a mantra that I've taken up myself. But you know what? Even with that being the case, sometimes you find yourself having to raise the bar and not just stay stagnant, not just stay stuck, not just stay in a place that is comfortable. You wind up putting yourself out there. I know I've shared this story several times, but I don't think I've shared it on this podcast. But I remember, of course, a lot of you know I do personal development and leadership development, and I've also started this area of mental health when it comes to childhood wounds, childhood traumas, but more importantly, childhood healing. And during my start of being a motivational speaker, one of the things that I did was my coach, Dr. Ruben West, told us, he said, listen, if nobody invites you to their stage, create your own. At the time, I had written my first book, which was entitled, Are You Climbing the Wrong Mountain? About finding your true purpose. So I took that book and I turned it into an event. I turned it into a summit. So it was the Are You Climbing the Wrong Mountain Summit. And I had the event here in Mobile, and I had it here the first year. It was amazing. It was great, and I was so happy to do it. But of course, I couldn't just stop with one. I had to do it again. So I wound up doing it the second year. I believe this was 2017. And I changed up the format a little bit. And I remembered, oh, I forgot something at home. And I had to make my way to the house. Well, I was getting ready to leave, and my youngest son, he was 10 at the time, he said, Dad, can I ride with you? I said, come on, son, let's go. But I knew I only had one shot because everybody had gone to their breakout sessions. Everybody was in their own little workshops. And I knew that I only had one shot to go home, get what I needed, and come back. Thankfully, the hotel I was having at was less than a mile from my house. So while I'm in the car driving, thinking, okay, I can't forget anything. Do I have everything? Just the only time I can really come home. And I'm driving to the house. And my youngest son, sitting in the passenger seat, looks over at me and says, Dad, I'm proud of you. When he said that, I'm just driving, but I kind of stopped. I looked over at him. I mean, I didn't stop driving, but just on the inside, because I realized that he was watching me. He was watching me. How many of us have people in our lives that are watching us? They could be brothers, sisters, it could be nieces, nephews, grandchildren, somebody younger than us, even people that are older than us. They are watching. But what are they seeing when they look at us? What examples are we leaving for them? You know, when I said that my father always said he wanted his children to do better than he did, so by all measures, I did. My sister did. We did better than he did. But when it comes to our children, do they have that same drive, that same passion? And are we setting the bar so high that they say, hey, if my dad can do it, if my mom can do it, I can do it too. So I made it a point to where after that realization hit me that my children were watching me, it made me walk a little taller. It made me be a little bolder. It made me take on challenges that I probably wouldn't have normally taken because I realized somebody was taking notes. Like I've seen this meme where it has this older line and a younger line, and the caption said, I was about to give up until I saw who was watching me. So with that being said, 2025 was a year of ups and downs, a year of disappointments, but also a year of renewal. Renewal of my commitment to who it is I say that I am and what it is I've been called to do. I'm telling you, I wouldn't be the man that I am. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now if I didn't have a commitment and a drive to see people in a better place and a better space in life. You know, oftentimes we allow our circumstances to hold us back from doing what it is we know we need to do. We allow our own self doubt, how we view ourselves, how we are going to be received or perceived by people to hold us back. And that shouldn't be the case. That should not be us. We should be so committed to to showing up for the people we've been called to serve that I don't care who's with me or who's not. I don't care who's clapping and who's not. I'm going to be committed to the calling that I have, to the thing that I know I've been called and given to do. That's one of the reasons why I can't stop and I can't quit. Because I realized, and my oldest son asked me the question, he said, Dad, what is your favorite scripture? I said the one that's found in Luke, where it says, to whom much is given, much is required. And that scripture, it helps us to understand that we've been given something. And if we've been given a lot, there's a lot required of us because of what we've been given. And the first time I actually really understood that was when I was watching Spider-Man. When Uncle Ben told him with great power comes great responsibility. And you know what? That's just a paraphrase of that scripture. To whom much is given, much is required. But my thing is, I think a lot of people really haven't taken the time to get to know what they have. That's why my slogan is I'm Ciccone Prince of CicconePrince.com, where we make motivation personal by introducing you to yourself. And I want to make sure that everybody knows that they have something to offer. Because again, somebody is watching you. When I realized my children were watching me, I wanted to make them proud. Not just for their sake, but I wanted to do it for me. I wanted to make I wanted to make myself proud of the fact that I didn't give up, that I didn't quit, that I didn't stop, that I saw it through. Because I tell people all the time, if you quit, you're guaranteed not to win. So don't quit. Keep showing up. Keep investing in yourself. Keep putting in the work. And you'll find yourself making waves, making differences, making changes that are not soon forgotten. And that brings me to something I want to share with you guys today, because I have been given an opportunity to be on a magazine. And this is none other than I Win Global for him. And I am so excited that Dr. LaDonya Vet allowed me an opportunity to be a part of this amazing, amazing magazine. And in fact, if you want to, you can go to our website, iwinglobalenterprises.com/magazine. And if you click here on the magazine, it will bring you to a page where you can actually purchase your copy. I'm telling you, it's such an honor to be featured in such a remarkable magazine. But again, it just goes to highlight what I'm planning on doing this year. I know I've written my, in fact, latest book, which is titled H.E.A.L, and because you see it right here, and it's the podcast. But over here, my latest book, that one is really going to be a game changer. I've sold more copies of this book than any of my previous books combined. But this one here, this new one, you definitely want to check that out.
You've taken the first step. You've learned to heal. Now it's time to go deeper. The journey to maturity doesn't stop with awareness. It grows with action. In this powerful sequel to H.E.A.L, you'll uncover new strategies to elevate your mindset, strengthen your emotional resilience, and step fully into the adult you were always meant to be. This is more than a book. It's a blueprint for transformation. Are you ready to rise? The next chapter of your growth starts now. Available soon on Amazon.
So again, I am so excited to be able to bring this book to you. It is going to be as life-changing as the first one, if not more. But I'm telling you, you want to get the first one first, read that, and then get the next one, because that's the one that's really going to help you to stretch yourself to the point where you can live the life that you need to. A couple of months ago, I had a guest on my podcast, and I asked one of my questions, my probing questions, and her response was so intuitive that it stuck with me. It stuck with me because it really made me rethink just how, just even my thought process in reference to what it is I'm doing. Because most of the time people think it's either one or the other. But her answer was so intuitive that it really made me take a second look. And in fact, the question, that I'm trying to make sure I get the right one, because I know the answer, but it was the way it was worded. Okay, so is that the right? Are these I think those are the old ones. Those are the old questions. Those are the old questions, and no wonder I was having a hard time. But here it says, okay, what particular daily habits and practices help nurture both the inner child and strengthen the inner adult? Nope. That wasn't the one. The one I'm looking for was number three. How can someone begin to recognize the difference between reacting from their inner child and responding as their inner adult self? And when I asked that question, her response was so intuitive because one of the things she said was, she said, why does it have to be one or the other? She says she first checks with her inner child and see what does her inner child need. And then she responds as her inner adult. So if her inner child doesn't feel safe and her inner child wants to go, her inner adult will excuse herself from the situation. She will leave. And I thought that was so intuitive because it's not just one or the other, because again, we still carry these parts of ourselves with us. That part of ourselves that is that inner child. But she said that she checked with that first. She even said that if her inner child needs somebody to speak up for it, instead of throwing a tantrum like a child would do, she said, okay, I got this. I'm going to speak up for us. And then her inner adult would do the same thing, would speak up, would address the situation in a mature way, in that emotional and as she said that, I thought about the term, the buzzword, emotional intelligence. Because the emotional aspect of that is the child part of us. But the intelligent aspect of that is our adult self. So those two go hand in hand because generally the first thing we feel is the emotions. We feel fear, we feel anger, we feel frustration, we feel doubt. There are so many things that we feel. That's the emotional side. But then how does that translate? How does that translate into our behavior? Because a lot of us, if we haven't healed our inner child, we wind up reacting and responding, or should I say reacting from those emotions, how we feel. And then we wind up having to pay the cost. And before I even wrote this book, I would oftentimes tell people, never let your emotions drive. They're not covered on your insurance. For those that are taking notes, you may want to write that down. But give me credit. Give me credit. Never let your emotions drive. They're not covered on your insurance. See, oftentimes we allow our emotions to get the best of us. If we're not careful, if we don't keep them in check, if we don't do like my guest said, Raven Thistle, she said that she checked with her inner child. What does my inner child need? What do they need in this moment? Do they need soothing? Do they need comforting? Do they need defense, protection? What do they need? And then her inner adult, her mature adult self responds to that need of that inner child. And that's balance. In no uncertain terms, that's a way that you can have a well-rounded individual. Those are the type of folks I would like to deal with. But of course, if I did that, if I dealt with only those people, I wouldn't have anybody to really speak to. Wouldn't have anybody to, to actually encourage. But see, my thing is to help people to understand that you can grow beyond where you are right now. There is something, there's someone waiting for you to show up. They're waiting for that best version of you. And I want to encourage you, don't leave them waiting. Don't let them starve for what you have to feed them. So when it comes to us and our own personal development, because that's really where I started, personal development, leadership development, but I realized I was leaving out an aspect of our personality, and that was our inner child. Because a lot of people just try to just forget it. That's behind me. I don't want to deal with that anymore. I'm an adult. I don't have to. But then when those triggers come, or those activators come, or those moments that pull us back into those memories or into the feeling that way, when they show up and we respond, or we get afraid, or we get scared, or we throw a tantrum, or we scream and or we holler, or we become very immature, that says a lot about us, about who we are, and what work we have to do. But listen, again, I do apologize, and I know she's going to do an amazing job whenever I get her back on the podcast. When I schedule, I'm gonna try to schedule her for next Friday. But I didn't want to just cancel it altogether because I already had a schedule. So I'm streaming on YouTube, I'm streaming on LinkedIn, I'm streaming on Facebook. And I wanted to make sure that I showed up for you because I know how important it is to be committed, to be consistent, to be successful, but also have a legacy. For those of you who've listened to me for any length of time, you know those go hand in hand. Because without commitment, there's no consistency. Without consistency, there's no success. Without success, there's no legacy. I didn't get on the cover of that magazine by starting and stopping. I got on the cover of that magazine by being consistent. But that consistency was based on my commitment to you, to the calling that God placed in me to help you, to show up for you. There's no point in having all this information and keeping it to myself. So yeah, I'm putting myself out there. I'm making sure that somebody knows that they too can hear. Somebody knows that they can be better. Somebody knows that they can look at themselves objectively and understand that they have something to offer the world. And speaking of world, I had an opportunity to go with my coach, Dr. Ruben West, to Nairobi, Kenya back in 2023. And I'm definitely planning on going again this year. But check this out. Well, again, it's my coach, Dr. Ruben West. Does a phenomenal job, especially when taking people to allow them an opportunity to speak overseas. And not just speak overseas, make a difference, make an impact. I'm telling you, when I went, it was a phenomenal time. And if you are curious about my journey back in 2023, you can go to my website, saconiprince.com, and click on the image on the homepage. You'll be able to see the videos. I chronicle my travels over there, the safari that went on, which was amazing. Had a chance to speak at Parliament. At Parliament. Those pictures are on there as well. We had a Wakanda Gala. We had a Live Your Best Life event. It was phenomenal. So if you ever consider going or speaking out of the country, going to Africa, to Nairobi, Kenya, I would encourage you. Reach out to me or reach out to Dr. Ruben West. He can be found on Facebook. You can look him up, Ruben West, Dr. Ruben West. He has just been a blessing in my life beyond anything I could ever think. And I thank God for him. I thank God for his commitment and for his willingness to put other people's first, because he tells us all the time, it's not just what your coach can teach you, but it's where your coach can take you. And I'm grateful to God that he allowed us to connect. And I've told people all the time, if you ever connect with Ruben West, it's like hooking your wagon to a comet, because that's what's going to happen. He is going to take you places you have never even imagined being. Well, listen, I don't want to hold y'all too long. I thank those who tuned in. I appreciate each and every one of you, even those who are watching the replay. And I am so excited for what 2026 holds. I hope that you had an amazing holiday season, but know that you have an opportunity today to make a difference right where you are. But it starts with you. It starts on the inside, but it doesn't stay there. It shows up in your action, in your attitude, in your willingness to actually put in the work. Because so many people, they don't. They say they do, but they don't. Are you willing to put in the work? Not just talk about it, not just plan on it, not just dream, put it in. If we wait until we got everything 100% right, we would never do anything. You have to put it out and then work on what didn't go right, what went wrong. My encouragement to you is to start today. Start today and do what's necessary and needful for you to be able to be the person that you know God has called you to be. And listen, and of course, those of you who know that I also do motivational speaking. So if you need a speaker, somebody to come in and talk to your people, holler at your boy. And with that, we'll see you next week. Well, my name is Sakoni Prince of SakoniPrince.com, where we make motivation personal by introducing you to yourself. I'm a motivational speaker, a trainer, and a coach. I'm also an author. I help people in the area of personal development and leadership development because I believe that you can't lead others until you learn how to lead yourself. But once you learn how to lead yourself, the next logical step is that you lead other people.
Sakoni Prince is the best keynote I've ever seen.
He really encouraged me so much.
He has this ability of seeing in people what they don't see in themselves.
He was so confident. When he was coming to the stage, you could see like, wow, this is a lion.
Any actor that's going for a role, they do a case study. If I'm going to be a fry cook, I go to a restaurant and watch people that are fry cooks. If I'm going to be a mob boss, I go and, well, maybe not go to with a mob, but you take some notes as to what they do. Our children are watching us. What can they reference when they step into our shoes? I do what I do because I believe that people have truly yet to understand their purpose. Once you know who you are, nothing can stop you. But until you know who you are, anything can. So my goal is to really help people to understand their purpose and their calling. And oftentimes they have the answers themselves, but they're not asking the right questions. So I help people to get to that place to where they look at themselves, they step back and they see how they've been a help to those around them and what really drives them. And from that, they really understand the value of it. They learn to value their value and see what value their value brings. Because a lot of people, they have yet to do that. Until you know who you are, anything can stop you. But once you know who you are, nothing can stop you. I want you to understand that you are blessed. That you are blessed to be a blessing. That there is somebody looking up to you. They're looking at you. Don't ever forget that. Because if you ever do, you're going to leave them without a mind.
I've learned so much and I've experienced a lot of interactions with people.
The practical approach, like you can't just sit down there, you have to walk up to an opportunity. Sometimes you have to grab the opportunity. Sometimes you have to fight for the opportunity. There's so much life lessons.
I think from today onwards, I'll stretch out and reach to higher levels.